Hi there, I'm your host Marlene McConnell and welcome to the Surviving Trauma Stories of Hope podcast. Today I'm pleased to welcome Rhonda Farrah to the podcast and she joins me from Colorado in the United States. Rhonda is a lifestyle empowerment alchemist, coach, and prominent figure in personal development. She has dedicated years of insights as a psychotherapist to be a guiding light for women facing unique challenges, helping them embark on a transformative journey of self-discovery and empowerment. In a world where external issues often command our attention, Rhonda stands out as a catalyst for inner growth with her mantra, "Fix your reflection first." A beacon of hope for women who find themselves trapped in the throes of personal turmoil, be it in relationships, career, or daily life. Through her extensive career and profound dedication, Rhonda has spearheaded the Fix Your Reflection First method of realizing that both the joys and the setbacks in your life can serve you if you can look past your immediate emotional response and use your self-awareness to grow instead of pushing yourself down. Rhonda's holistic approach centers on self-reflection and the restoration of self-love as the cornerstone of personal growth and change. Empowerment alchemist coach, speaker, entrepreneur, spiritual teacher, and educator, Rhonda has cultivated an extensive toolkit designed to assist individuals in addressing the challenges that hold them back and embrace the joys that propel them forward. Working with clients and companies from international centers for spiritual living all the way to the US Open Wellness team, Rhonda's teachings emphasize harnessing self-awareness and leveraging life setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. I loved having Rhonda join me, and I know you will love this episode. In case you missed it, I recently launched my YouTube channel. My videos will include relevant, inspirational, personal awareness, self-improvement content, positive affirmations, meditations, visualizations, and of course, the podcast. So please check out Marlene McConnell on YouTube. If you wish to support the podcast to keep going, please join the Infinite Progress Society on Patreon and take advantage of the great benefits. Thank you to my listeners for joining me on this journey. Comment on my posts on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn and YouTube, and let me know what you think of this episode. Also head to Amazon.com, Audible, or takealot.com and get your copy of my book, Ray of Light. And please leave me a rating and review. It would mean the world to me. As always, stay tuned and keep listening. Welcome to today's podcast episode featuring Rhonda Farrah, a psychotherapist and lifestyle empowerment coach who has an incredible story that she will be sharing with us today. A story that truly speaks to overcoming, a story that helps us in various challenges in our own lives, and specifically focusing on women. Rhonda's mantra, "Fix your reflection first," serves as a guiding light for individuals navigating personal turmoil in their relationships, careers, and in their daily life. And today, Rhonda will join us as we are going to delve into her journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and the transformative power of self-reflection. Rhonda Farrah, welcome to the Surviving Trauma Stories of Hope podcast.
Thank you so much, Marlene. Thank you for inviting me to be your guest. I'm pleased to be here.
Wonderful. I'm just as happy to have you, and I look forward to our discussion today. So let's start just by giving a bit of background. I know that we're going to talk about your journey, but you're in the US and you are out in Colorado. And do you want to give us a little bit of background about you grow up in Colorado? Are you originally from that state or?
No, I'm originally from Connecticut. I'm an East Coast gal, and I was raised in largely a traditional family. I had a stay-at-home mom and a dad who preferred mom stay at home. I'm the oldest of three brothers and one sister, and through about third grade, we all lived in an extended family, which means it was my parents, my siblings and I, grandparents, aunts, great aunts, all in the same household. And it was primarily a household of women. So I learned the nurturing factor very young. And so there was plenty of love in that household and plenty of discipline as well.
That's a
So
matriarch
that kind
trait.
of definitely. And I knew early on that I wanted to serve others. Maybe not in those specific words, but I like to nurture. I like to nourish. And that's exactly what I did. It delved me into the field of psychology. And it was an interesting field. Previous to that, I was at the University of Connecticut for undergrad and grad school. And previous to that, I was not majoring in psychology, nor sociology, nor any of the humanities. I was majoring in horticulture. I love plants.
Horticulture.
Yes, I love plants. I love anything that grows. And for one reason or another, I switched. I switched to helping others grow and nourish and nurture themselves. So
I can imagine that you have a green thumb too, and that you have a beautiful garden at home.
I do. And I like the weeding. I like the pruning. I like the work. And I like the color, because anything with color is work. And that's what I instill in my clients. I have a toolbox, psychotherapeutic, and I have a toolbox of lifestyle empowerment, alchemist, and coach. And we can draw from those, but it's the client's responsibility, I'm sure you'll agree, to do the work, to obtain the results that they wish to obtain. And my story is truly one of alchemy. And I'm not a left brain person, but alchemy is the precursor of chemistry. And I did not take chemistry. I think I opted for environmental science, whatever the requirements were in undergrad and grad school. But an alchemist is just like an alchemy, you take one substance and turn it into something else. That's, the basic alchemy definition. So as an alchemist, I help individuals take the joys, the good stuff, as well as the challenges, struggles, the sorrows, that not so good stuff, and have them help themselves to make it work for them rather than anything less, so that they can at least begin to live the life that they desire, the life that they want, perhaps even the life that they dream about. I definitely believe in my stories. When you say story, journey, it was like one thing after another. And the interesting part was I could not have come out on the best side of all those challenges and struggles had I not found gifts and blessings in them.
Yeah.
Whether I wanted to or not.
And that is the perfect place to be. You want to have that balance. Even if you're given something in life that seems incredibly challenging and difficult, that brings your life to a halt, you can, with 2020 vision, look back and say, this was actually my opportunity that gave me all my blessings and provided me with all the opportunities that I now have. Yeah, that's an incredible realization. I think it's a brilliant way of looking at your life and building resilience.
Yes. And so whether through all these challenges and struggles, and we'll get into those, I was building my spiritual muscles. Okay. And I was also, I've been a distance runner for 49 years. I don't run as quickly as I used to. But
nice.
Through ice and snow, about 6 to 7 miles, 6 days a week.
Okay. A fellow runner. I like it.
So I know persistence, I know perseverance, I know it takes work, I know it takes discipline, and it takes loving what you're doing, whether it's running 6 to 7 miles 6 days a week, or whatever it is that you'd like to do, or however you'd like to support yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually. So the alchemy part. The alchemy part is very, very important for people that are listening to understand life does not happen to us. It happens for us. And I know that whatever comes our way in life, we have called forward, at least on the subconscious level. My subconscious called all this stuff forward, and a lot of it I didn't like. And those things, never in my wildest imagination that I would think that my midlife crisis was a combination of several things.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to ask you that, if you could share a little bit about that journey of really hitting that rock bottom in your life and really, what that looked like for you.
It was the surreal to me. I'm a person that never had a speeding ticket or a parking violation. But I called it forward for a couple of reasons. I called it forward because what I was doing in this world of high finance had taken me away from being of service to others. And I call it God, but whether you call it source, spirit, the divine, the universe, it's always trying to get our attention to put us on the journey that we need to be on so that we can be of not only service to ourselves, but service to others, because I do believe that's why we are here. So, I'll say one right after another, because people say, well, what is your story? And I'll say, which one? My story is being in a women's federal prison camp. There were no bars, but it was still prison. And then learning 11 months before release, I had a lump on my breast. And not willing to do anything about it until I got home. And then you throw in several divorces in the meantime, and it was like, whoa, everything that could go wrong was going wrong. Yet I was calling it forward. And this is why I was calling it forward. But I was good at nurturing and nourishing others, but not myself, not esteeming myself, not doing the self-care, the self-esteem, the appreciation, the self-love, and liking myself. So my company has helped me, Rhonda, now. However, 2 years ago, I rebranded in that company. And it's fix your reflection first and live your best life ever. And that's what I've been doing on an accelerated rate. You're never too old for transformation. I turned 66 last month. Never too old for transformation.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you. So I need to be the example and not the exception. If I am going to positively impact and empower others and help them help themselves to live an empowered life. So in my early 40s, never did I expect to be hit with a federal indictment. It's very daunting to see on a piece of paper, United States of America versus Rhonda Farrah. Whoa, that's like, what? This is what's surreal. So I went through every motion that I could go through, but I was still found guilty. I had a sentence of 72 months in a women's federal prison camp. And that was it. It was every motion that we would put in for dismissal or to get me home was denied. Because I called it forward to learn what I have to learn about myself and to be, I always said, I want to be in service to others. I want to nourish and nurture others. And that's what I did for 300
But
women.
Can I ask you, this must have come as a big shock to you as someone in the finance business world to one day come home to this federal indictment. Do you want to share about what was going on in your mind at that time?
Totally unbelievable. Okay. Yeah. However, I always knew that I had to learn something. I was scared, but I wasn't in fear. There's two difference between being scared and being in fear. Fear is immobilizing. Fear is you're going to react. You're going to knee-jerk rather than respond and think about it and feel it and own it. So I take full responsibility for making some very poor choices that not only affected my life, but in fact affected my daughter's life and my entire family. So,
and I think there's a lesson for the listeners in there because, I have many corporate executives who, are my listeners. I'm a corporate executive in the finance team. And I think, when the message that I say, if you say I pay this forward and I'm sure that you'll make different choices if you had to perhaps do it again. But I think that there's a lesson to learn for those who are listening to
Yes.
say, yeah, you need to take your fiduciary duties and responsibilities as a director in any business very seriously.
So, and I totally agree with you. It's make an excellent point about taking responsibility. And I don't, not simply in as being a fiduciary and taking that responsibility, but who are we delegating to in matters of finance? Who are we delegating to when it comes to raising our children? Who are we delegating to?
Absolutely.
You know, those were my poor choices. I'm the best delegator around. However, not doing one due diligence is the most dangerous thing and the biggest crime I'm guilty of.
Wow.
So
I'm sorry that happened to you, Rhonda.
Well, it's interesting because everything happens for a reason. And when someone says, well, what was the purpose of it? I said, the purpose of it was for me to learn lessons and to be the very best that I could be in that particular situation. Incidentally, my sentence was expunged after 6 years.
Oh, wonderful.
After my time served. And I don't, everyone says, aren't you angry? I said, no. What would that do? It wouldn't
because
do
you've already served the time.
I've served the time. I've made the best of my time. And it pivoted me again right back into being of service to others. I'm not saying it wasn't, it wasn't a cakewalk. But again, I was very blessed. I had a track. I had a place to do strength training. I was part of a work cadre of 5 women that went to San Francisco every day and did gardening on the Presidio.
Wow. Oh, wow. That is fantastic.
So those were the blessings that allowed me to get in the vibe of being happy. Everyone says, well, when I get this or when I get that, women used to say to me, well, when I'm home, I'll work on my health. I said, don't count on it. When you're home, you're going to have to pay your rent, take care of your kids, and do everything else that you know to do. This is your time. This is literally your time. Use it well.
That is so good.
Use it well. So again, I was in service to others, not only for, their physical well-being, but their emotional well-being. I was teaching wellness classes.
But of course, I mean, as a psychotherapist and as a coach, you have the perfect background to actually sort of put them onto the plan, the rehabilitation plan. Right. You should be remunerated. I hope you were remunerated in prison.
No, I wasn't. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, when I was teaching, my crime is not drug-related or violent, okay? And it was expunged. Yeah. But the wellness classes I was teaching, I taught to women who entered a drug program. Okay. They were in there for purchase and sale of drugs or all of that. And they received a year off on their sentence. I was not the only one teaching classes so that they could participate and get a year off on their sentence. And after about a year, I went to my counselor and I said, do you think I could get a year off because I'm teaching? And they said, no, it's not going to work that way. And I said, okay, that was that. I surrendered. That was a piece of the surrender. And before that, about a year into prison camp with 300 women, I mean, it was a truly extraordinary experience, 300 women all together.
Wow.
I stopped banging the phone against the wall, saying, get me out of here. One day I just had this aha moment. And I still get my aha breath. It's a confirmation.
Yeah.
From source, from divine, from God, from me. Yeah, okay. From that day forward, it was like, I'm here to learn something. Okay. So I pretty much kept to myself. I was a model inmate. And
and it's funny how, Rhonda, when you slam your head against that door because this is your will, but then once you stop and you say, I'm so tired of slamming my head against this door, then God says, here's a door. Let me open it for you.
Right.
And all the blessings come. You get to go and work in the garden. You get to teach wellness classes.
Yes.
It's a difficult thing to come to terms with within ourselves.
Yeah.
But that is exactly how that switch works and how God helps you on your path.
Absolutely. And my subconscious mind knew that all the time. My conscious mind wasn't on board until a year after.
Yeah.
So I needed to be incarcerated in order to be liberated. And I say that very honestly because I was not living myself with a capital S. I was in some other self with the small s. So incarceration did a world of difference for me. It started peeling away the onion skin so I could regain my sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
That's a very powerful statement. And it really is a testament to true self-reflection.
Yes. So when I look in my mirror now, mirror work is nothing new. I've been doing it for years, even before I knew I was doing it. And of every pane of glass, I would say, oh, God, you're looking good today. And so, and I was kind of joking, but not. The subconscious mind, she was not joking. And I think back to the days of going through trial and otherwise, and my first attorney saying to me, I'm going to get you a deal with the government. And I go, huh? I'm going to get you a deal. All you have to do is basically what it meant was throwing some people under the bus. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because, and this is exactly what I said. I remember it as if it was yesterday. And it was in 1998.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that because I have to get up every morning and look myself in the mirror. Those words have come full circle. Full circle. It's really important to own what you do in life, own yourself, practice self-love, practice self-care, practice self-esteem, appreciate yourself, and know that you are a magnificent person, regardless of situation, circumstance, or event. I didn't always look in my mirror. I was downtrodden in the early days. Oh, my.
Yeah.
Incarceration. Ooh. Felon. Wasn't
it's
a really
tough one
good
to
feeling.
come to terms with.
Difficult.
Yeah.
So,
that transformation wheel turns very slowly when you have to come to terms with your circumstances.
Absolutely. So I was going along in prison, I think just fine. I was learning what I needed to learn. I was helping others. I wasn't being combative at all. I was surrendering so that what needed to come in to me was coming in. Then I discovered I have a lump in my breast.
And what was the medical treatment like in prison? Because I remember you said earlier that you didn't take any treatment. No. You waited till you got home and you were released.
I waited till I got home and I was released. It was through prayer, meditation, and doing all the things that I would do with a client. But I was practicing the self-love. I was practicing self-care as best that I could.
And also reducing the stresses.
Yes. And I made a switch in 2005. 2005 was when I was released. And I made a switch because then I went right to a doctor for a biopsy. But I made that switch. The biopsy, of course, was in Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October. And it was positive. And everyone, how many questions you getting? Well, what happened? What happened? What was the results? I said, well, it wasn't the best news, but it's not the worst news. So I'm going along being, some of my family members say you were such a Pollyanna. And I said, no, that was my authentic self from within coming out, knowing that this was all happening for a reason, no accident, no happenstance, no coincidence. So that inner strength I gained from being incarcerated was now going to help me be my best self to get through this of nearly stage 3 breast cancer.
Wow. I was going to ask you if it had metastasized in that time that you were in prison, if it had spread at all.
I know that when I had the surgery, that they did take 11 lymph nodes from here, but they were all, it was okay.
11,
okay,
wow.
So it hadn't, they thought it had spread because I was drinking a dye, and the dye goes to where it's going to go. Yes. But it hadn't. And yet another miracle, yet another gift, another blessing. And my friends would say, we'll get you another breast. And I said, no, I like this breast. And I have my breast. It has a nice war scar on it, though. And I took the best of that situation because, once again, I'm pivoted into going to groups for women with breast cancer and contributing what I can contribute to that.
Those support groups are amazing.
They are amazing. And I would talk about, we all have this power within us, whatever you call it. It's our authentic power from within. And it's the ability for anyone in trauma, breast cancer, prison, divorce, financial ruin. It is a necessary element, and it's there so we can not only survive it, but we can thrive. So some people would disagree with me, but for me, it's my story, it's my journey. And I was thriving. I was knowing more about myself than I had ever realized. So I discovered this, I got to go. And my family members would say, when are we going to get a break? And
it's just too much. The one thing after the next.
But again, I was strengthened. The authentic power, the spiritual muscle was maneuvering me so that I could understand that this was for the agenda of my soul. I didn't call it that at that time.
Yes.
So today when something happens, I'm not immune to other things going wrong, even at this stage. But I do say, how is this attending to the agenda of my soul? When I make this decision, is this attending to the agenda of my soul? And only I know.
That's right.
So that was Act 2 of my midlife crisis, the breast cancer. And again, gift and blessing, not only teaching and training people, and I was scared, but I wasn't in fear. It wasn't the worst news, best news, but it wasn't the worst news. I wasn't in fear. And I can remember going into the operating room. I was laying on a gurney, and my operating room nurse said, did you say something? And it's a beautiful day in Monterey, California. I'm waiting for my surgeon. And the nurse comes over and says, did you want me? Do you need me for something? I said, no, I'm just looking out at this beautiful day, having a little talk with God. And she said, oh, okay. And she looked at me, and my hair was even shorter than it is now. I mean, this is by choice. when I had no hair from chemo, she said, oh, look, your hair is growing back. It was like peach fuzz. She then pulls back her skull cap and says, maybe it will grow out curly like mine did. So she had been through this. And she had not only survived it, she was thriving so she could be back in service of others. That was a message. That was a confirmation for me. Yep. Wow. You knew you were going to be all right, and you are going to be all right.
Yeah. That is fantastic. And, these earth angels, Rhonda, they have a way of showing up just in the right moment, and you can't help but recognize the synchronicities of life, and you can't help but recognize and say, God, I see you. I see your message. I see that you've sent it to me now. Thank you for giving me the reassurance, God, that this person has brought me your message, and I am now in good hands where I'm going into theater, Wow.
Yes.
It's incredible, Rhonda. It's incredible.
Just moving through it. And then later learning, I had no idea that 30% of women with breast cancer never make it. They make their transition in a hasty, too early. So I was very blessed. And everyone said, well, there's no history of breast cancer in our family. And I go, well, and the interesting part is, this is why I say I made the switch, learning breast cancer and having my background in psychotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
The emotions. Started dealing with emotional and cognitive and how it affects the physical.
Mm-hmm.
The incidence of men have breast cancer too, but the incidence of breast cancer in women is because we are unable to nourish and nurture ourselves. We're really good at nourishing and nurturing everyone else. We're really good at people pleasing. And someone asked me recently, yesterday in an interview, well, because I mentioned, well, I didn't want to do this. I've never taken any street drugs. Oh, I don't want to go under the knife and this, that, and the other thing. And, and they said, I said, so what I did was I went to a medical Qigong specialist.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to heal this with Eastern medicine. So what happened was I did that. I had already been to my oncologist, already met the surgeon. I go, I'm going to do this with Eastern medicine. And it's prayer and chanting and I did it all. And he said to me, go back to your oncologist because Western medicine has the best diagnostic tools. I went back and she said to me, I don't know what you're doing, but you're shrinking your tumor. My daughter was with me. My daughter's head spun around on her neck and said, literally, you're buying this.
Wow.
And then I knew it was because I was asked just yesterday, well, why did you do it? You knew you had the power within you to heal yourself. I said, you know why? Because my family was so devastated with my previous escapade in prison. I'm not going to do this to them again. And I needed to get over my fear of this stuff that was going to happen to me. How can this be happening? I'm an athlete. I eat right. I do everything right. Got to go through it. But that onion skin had been peeled away so that I had more perseverance and resistance. The runner in me came out. And I got to tell you, I had very few side effects when I was undergoing chemotherapy. The thing I was the most frightened of. Very few side effects. As a matter of fact, I was at least jogging 4 days a week.
Goodness.
So
wow.
It was, those are gifts and those are blessings.
That's unheard of.
It was like, huh? So I was learning really quickly. I'm learning really quickly. Yeah. And everything was a confirmation that everything I talk about, everything I believed, the discipline, the mindfulness that I was exuding in different ways previous to incarceration. Incarceration made me more spiritual.
Absolutely.
Than ever.
That was the catalyst.
That was the catalyst. Or else I wouldn't have been doing what I'm doing today. Enter Act 3. Couple of divorces, one right after another. Because they were people.
While you were in prison?
No. Prison, came out, breast cancer, now. Again, not choosing wisely. And very short-lived marriages. However, gift
3 of them.
Yeah. Well, one was 20 years before, but one right after another. The last two. So, but there was a gift and a blessing because what is this pattern you're doing, Rhonda? You're making poor choices. You know why? Because I was not esteeming myself. I was settling. I was living life in default mode. And please, no disrespect to whomever I was married to. Not at all. They taught me how to esteem and to practice self-care and self-love. And now when I look in the mirror, I see the love of my life.
That's wonderful.
And that's what we all, if we all do that. Yeah. If we all do that, when we look in our mirror and we practice respect to yourself, practice love to yourself, practice care to yourself, be gentle with yourself, because that's what you will draw to you, not just in a romantic relationship. Yeah. That's what you will draw in every area of your life. It's simple, it's basic, but it's not easy. And it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. The self-love, it's always interesting to me how when we go through these difficulties in life, these setbacks with traumatic experiences, The self-love isn't the aspect that comes in handy right in the beginning. Right in the beginning, that's the last thing you want.
It is.
But once you come through that journey of self-development, you come through that self-discovery, and you have a better understanding and acceptance of your circumstances, you start to step into your purpose.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. That's really where the self-love is most powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Most powerful and essential. It's essential.
Yes.
If you're
It
not
is
loving
essential.
yourself, if you're not loving yourself, you are not capable of loving another human being.
Absolutely.
And if you're not
and it's
loving
not an
yourself, you're going
egotistical thing at all. It's not about being vain. It's really about, and maybe you can complete that sentence.
I believe without a doubt that selfishness, especially as women, is the most selfless thing we will do. That doesn't mean hurting others. Not at all. But it means if we're not caring for ourselves, you may have heard this because I've heard it in the past. People become psychologists and psychotherapists and counselors because that's what they need.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's true.
It's absolutely true. And you're talking about the selfishness and how you need to be selfish, right? And those words was advice that was given to me by a therapist at a very young age, my very, very early 20s. I would even say my late teens, just becoming a young adult.
Yes.
And I went there and I was unpacking all of the stuff. Oh my goodness, my life is so hard. I can't believe it. I've got all these tests and everybody wants stuff from me. And the therapist sat there, for an hour. And in the end, she turned to me and she sat forward in her chair and she said, Marlene, I think that you need to be a little bit selfish and take some time for yourself, because you're giving away all of your energy and all of your time to everyone else. And being selfish is not a bad thing at all. Now, at 19, I didn't quite understand fully what she meant and how to embody that. But it's beautiful the way that you articulate it through your experiences, and also for the listeners to have that insight as to how to embody it. Yeah.
Yes. And I call them my adventures and escapades. Having come out on the best side of all, and having peeled away the onion skin and having my true sense of self with the capital S be recovered, because that was the worst thing that happened to me. It wasn't prison, breast cancer, and divorces. Where was Rhonda in all this? Yep. I lost my sense of self. That was the best thing that happened to me. And it takes a while. I was looking in my mirror last week or the week before, and I wrote about it and posted it. But I was looking in my mirror and I was wondering, and I was speaking to myself, among other things, and I highly advocate speaking to yourself. If you don't like looking in the mirror, everyone carries their phone around with them. So just flip it so you see your reflection and have a talk with yourself. And I said, gee, I'm 66 now, but I do have the right mantra. I do have the right brand, 66, and I continue to fix my reflection first and live my best life ever. Then I thought, well, I'm always saying, well, Moses was in his late 70s before he did anything major to help the world. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I wonder. And I say it no longer jokingly. That day, Isla picked up a review from Harvard and a review from Stanford in the same day. And it was talking about success, whatever that means to people. Financial, in your love life, success of any kind on your person. Yep. And it's in the 60s and 70s that you are your most successful. I was another message. I said, I knew I was on the right track. Okay. Right. I knew I was on the right track.
Because all of the onion peels have been taken off for you now to enjoy the successes thereof.
Yeah.
We don't understand always the value and the purpose of time here. We make sense of it in this world. We say, okay, there's a midlife crisis. Oh, you get to this point. They don't know what happened to this person, but all of a sudden they change. They're not the person they used to be.
Right.
But what if, from a spiritual perspective, that is where our awakening actually happened, and now we actually come here to do the things as intended. Hence, the success that you can then have in your 16s and your 70s.
Exactly.
Rhonda, as an author, a speaker, and as an alchemist coach, you've worked with various clients and organizations. Can you share any particular success story where your method has brought about significant change to your clients or the organization?
Yes, I can. I'm glad you asked me that question. First of all, I work with women primarily 45 and over. That's who I am attracting and who are attracted to the type of work I do and the style that I have. With respect to success stories, clients working with me find the biggest success if they understand that I am helping them help themselves. Not only for a session or for a month or for 3 months, I'm helping them pave the road for their own continued success and for their own continued awareness and realizations and identifications of their self with the capital S. One woman in particular came to me. I have several, but one woman in particular came to me, and she just she was in a terrible relationship, a very toxic, unhealthy relationship. They were not married, but toxic and unhealthy. And as we uncovered what was happening there, she had been a people pleaser for all of her life, beginning with her family, and then as she went through school, trying to be part of the cliques, so to speak. So she was pleasing people. And that was a habit with her. And I would call it a bad habit because she was not in good shape. She was emotionally distraught, very unhappy. And I told her what my guidelines were about me helping her help herself. And that while I do have a magic wand, I'm not about to wave it over her. She's got to be all in with me. And she said, okay. And she came through. And that woman today is now not only in a healthy relationship and knows it and understands what a healthy relationship is, because she started with practicing healthy love and appreciation and esteem for herself. So she's in a healthy relationship. And sure, there's always bumps in the road, but she knows how to navigate through those. She's no longer a people pleaser, nor a doormat. And she is loving her life and her brand new adventures, which she is taking responsibility for bringing towards herself.
Wow. And that's a major change to make in your life. But I mean, I'm not in all surprised that you could help her and enable her to do this and make these positive life changes for herself. And I think that so many people are, stuck in those toxic relationships. And I think when you make these positive changes, one of the biggest lessons is that true love does exist. And, true love and unconditional support exists in this world.
Yes, and it begins right here.
Absolutely. Yeah, with the self-love. Yeah. So you have contributed to several books, and we haven't even touched on any of your books, but I know that your books are on your website, and I'm going to leave the link for the listeners so that they can check out the books. But you've contributed to several books and worked with inspirational figures. How did these experiences really shape your own approach to empowerment and personal growth?
Well, first of all, I am a contributing author to America's Leading Ladies, those who positively impact our world. And I am honored and humbled to be part of a book that includes Melinda Gates and Oprah Winfrey. And
That's wonderful.
that was all my publisher's doing, because my publisher, who has since made her transition, she's passed away 2 years ago. But she
I'm
was,
sorry to hear that.
unexpectedly. And her name was Pat Sampson. And she was a powerhouse. And she
Wow.
was, for men too, though, for having people be of service through telling story and helping others understand that they are not alone. So it helped me, number one, to what I say, come out of the closet with respect to my adventures and escapades, to indeed let people know that they are not alone. And, to have the company of Oprah Winfrey and Melinda Gates, as well as some of my colleagues are in that book as well, helped me with my own self-esteem, helped me to look in the mirror even more closely and like what I see, so that I can illuminate that to others. And another book was Heroes, Leaders, and Legends, those who make a positive change in this world. And again, it's all the things that I dream about, the life that I dream about, making positive change, positively impacting the lives of others.
Yeah.
And what that did for me was give me the confirmation that, I'm going to be in this book. Yeah, it was great. I have an up-and-coming book. Actually, the working title, it's forthcoming, is From PTA to Prison, My Journey in Transformation.
From PTA.
Parent Teacher Association to prison.
Okay.
So that's forthcoming, and it will truly let people understand that we do have the power within us, that power to thrive and not merely survive, that power to respond and grow from those responses rather than react in a knee-jerked way and become less empowered. So I'm proud of those books. And the up-and-coming book, that's out of my comfort zone. I always say life begins when one is out of their comfort zone. Not only did my adventures and midlife crises, acts 1, 2, and 3, take me out of my comfort zone, but
that's way out of your comfort zone.
way out of my comfort zone. That's where life begins, and that's where my life began.
Wow. And when can we expect your most recent manuscript to be published?
The PTA?
Yes, the PTA, from PTA to prison.
Within a year. Okay. Within a year.
Well, we invite you back to come and speak to us again. And once you've published your book, you're always welcome here. And Rhonda, you also a teacher. You jokingly mentioned the PTA, but you also are a coach. And do you have any specific courses that is upcoming that you can share with the listeners and that they can join?
Absolutely. The link is not yet on my website, but I will send it to you, and it will be on my website. And the name of the course, it's a 12-week course. And what I do is, rather than have your whole year done, goals for 12 months, we take it in bite-sized chunks, 12 weeks at a time. You're not required to do more than 12 weeks, but 12 weeks at a time to fix your reflection first and live your best life ever. There are 12 weeks, 12 modules, 2 hours with me every week, some free coaching, some discounted coaching, ebooks free of charge, and whatever else I can come up with.
That's so much value. It packs a big punch. Thank you so much for sharing that with the listeners. And I'm going to leave that link in the show notes. So if you're listening, check out the show notes where you can find Rhonda's website. You'll find the link to the book as to her books, which is on the website, as well as the link to her upcoming group coaching program.
Yes.
Rhonda, any last words of inspiration that you feel called to share with us before we close?
I love that question. And first, if anyone
Yes.
has questions of me or comments, you're free to email me at Rhonda, RHONDA, at helpmerhondanow.com. And I will gladly respond to you, whatever's on your heart or your mind. I do have some parting words. Number one, whatever tunnel you are going through right now, wherever you are journeying right now, you are not alone.
Yeah.
And the light at that end of that tunnel is not necessarily a train. I believe and I know that light at the end of the tunnel coming at me and is for you too if you choose the guidance, the wisdom, divine right choices, and inspired action to take. Just know that. As well, we live with ourselves. That's our most constant companion. So I invite you to look in your mirror, understand who that companion is, who you are journeying with every single moment of every single day of your life. And I also invite you to understand and to know that wherever you go, and I've been to many places, you take yourself with you. Wherever you go, you take yourself with you. You're the common denominator. So you have that power, not only understand that, but to make situations, circumstances, and events, whatever they are, better, and take the gift and the blessing. And in conclusion, because I love life, I invite our viewers, our listeners, to treat life as if it were ice cream and enjoy it before it melts.
Wow. I love that so much because time will slip through your fingers and
Right.
just like ice cream will, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Rhonda. You are such an incredible inspiration. I tell you, listening to the way that you speak, the way that you've navigated all of these hurdles that have been placed on your experience here in life, it's that's acted as the catalyst for really showing how you needed to grow as a person and do the inner work in order to now stand in service to others. Like you say, this is your true purpose. Your true purpose is effectively through your experiences to now stand in service to others and to give back and to lead others. And I think that every setback you can turn into an opportunity for growth. And I think you are that example for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rhonda, for just sharing your wisdom with us today and just for empowering us to live our best lives and, take a different perspective when it comes to challenges and embracing resilience in our lives.
Yes.
And I think those are powerful, powerful words to live by and methodologies to employ in your life. And it can only stand you in really good stead,
Yes.
So thank you so much.
My pleasure, Marlene. Thank you for having me as your guest.
You're very welcome. Take care.
All right,
Bye.
dear, you too. Bye for now.
That wraps up this podcast episode. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy my podcast, please take a minute to give me a rating and review in Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast directory so you don't miss an episode. Please consider following My Centered Life on Facebook and Instagram for daily inspiration. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. You can catch me again in the next episode. Same time, same place. Sending you lots of love and light. Bye.